האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך. These opening verses of Yahavta, the bulk text of the Shema, arguably represent the most important Jewish liturgical text, no less Jewish operating principles we have. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might or your being. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them to your children. Speak of them when you stay in your home, or when you're out on the road, out along the way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Let those sink in. There are countless lessons to be derived from this text, but for today, I want to invite us to focus on just two seemingly additive words in that text that don't tend to get a lot of particular focus, but that deserve our focus today. B'shivtecha b'veitecha, when you stay in your home. Since March, I've been thinking a lot about this staying in your home idea, about the role of home in our lives and how that role has changed over these last many months. For so many of us now, our homes are not just the places we live, where we wake up and get ready in the morning and settle down and go to sleep in the evening, but where we now also work, go to school, shop, socialize, pray. At home is where we communicate directly with the people with whom we want to speak or spend time with individually, and also directly and indirectly with our larger communities on online platforms or social media. Home is where we hear about what's happening in the larger world around us. And yes, there is still a larger world. Home is the bubble that either makes us feel safe if it was safe before, or the prison that ensnares us if it is a place of insecurity and has been previously. Home's what keeps us separated from environments or people that are unfamiliar to us. It limits us from being able or having to encounter other viewpoints in an organic or balanced way. Home has enabled some of us to feel fully enveloped in the presence of those with whom we live, if we live with others, and home has caused others who live alone to feel more isolated than ever before. Home has become the all-encompassing picture of our lives, our truths, of ourselves, and of our families, of what we have and what we don't, of who we are and who we aren't. Our home has become a single mirror reflecting back all the realities of our existence, the beautiful and the ugly parts, our triumphs and challenges. Each of these previously likely understood by us as an individual facet of our life, that we might have been able to compartmentalize before under some other title like work life, social life, spiritual life. And now all of these fall into the self-same category of home life. And whether we like it or not, this amalgamation is not likely to revert back to how it was before March of 2020 anytime soon. I've spoken with many who say that we should really just deal with this reality. We shouldn't take much from it. We should let ourselves off the hook and understand that this reality is so surreal, so abnormal, so aberrational that all we really need to do is get through it and then forget about it once everything is back to normal. And there is certainly some truth to that, of course. The importance of being gentle and forgiving of ourselves and our failings amidst what is most likely an utterly unfamiliar and highly stressful time for us. If we can't get the healthiest dinner on the table, if we find that we can't produce the level of work or schoolwork we were accustomed to previously, if we just can't get on one more Zoom gathering because our eyes burn, know what I mean? We've got to let ourselves off the hook. We just need to get by. And of note is that Judaism in many ways supports this idea. Our tradition teaches that in emergency moments, something it calls hora'at sha'ah, we are permitted to override nearly every other previously understood important or guiding principle in order to sustain existence. But the challenge is, just how long can something be understood as an emergency moment? As today we conclude the 5th month of this pandemic reality in our country, are we still in an emergency moment? Or do we need to come to understand that this is now reality? And until we hear otherwise, we're better served to step into and live our lives as fully as possible, even amidst the incredible challenges we face. After all, emergency moment or not, this is life. We don't live in the past, we don't live in the future. The only time we can ever live our lives is now, and the only place we can live our lives is here. So what can we do to take this home-lived reality and make it meaningful, make it matter, make it count for something? And even more importantly, how can we live our lives in our homes in a way that enables us to be accountable and grow and become better people? Enter the High Holy Days, the journey into which began yesterday with Tisha B'Av, our commemoration of the countless destructions in Jewish history, and of course, most notably the destructions of the temple, but also for us, the day for our spiritual acknowledgement that even the most solid of structures eventually fail and fall. It's a time in which we can recognize the truth of brokenness, that things are not as they should be, that life is fragile and frightening. We know that now better than ever. But we don't stay in that space in our tradition. Beginning tonight on what our tradition calls Shabbat Nachamu, the Shabbat of comfort, we are presented with a 7-week trajectory out of the paralysis of fear and into and really up to the Yomim Noraim, the days of awe, the high holy days, where we, as you know, are individually and collectively called into account and offered the opportunity to return to the best of who we can be, to become our best selves. So where do we start? Well, it's almost as if the Torah knew we would need it to provide our rooting this very week, because if we go back to that text of V'ahavta, which is found in this very week's Torah portion, we can see the Jewish tradition has always understood that whether staying at home or out along the road, we can begin by taking to heart that wherever we are, whatever we face, we have our tradition and its teachings to guide us. There is powerful learning to be had in a 15th century Jewish Musar text that, while it's riffing off of the V'ahavta text, states the following: Jewish learning and practice lead one to goodness, and they set one's heart to do good, whereas idleness leads one to sin and far from their home. Which is all well and good, but Judaism doesn't teach or practice itself. Jewish wisdom won't guide us if we don't take it to heart, or as the text says literally, place the teachings on our hearts ourselves. We're excited at NSCI to be able to provide all of us any number of opportunities leading up to the High Holy Days to do just this work, to take the wisdom of our Jewish tradition, to learn it more fully, and give each of us the opportunity to bring this learning, this wisdom, this guidance, this practice into our lives, into our hearts, more deeply and more meaningfully, perhaps than ever before, so that by the time the High Holy Days arrive, each of us is fully primed for the beckoning possibility of transformation that is the essential potential of the days of awe each and every year. It doesn't matter whether you've ever engaged this way before or not, whether you've thought of yourself as interested or even capable of this before or not. This year, everything is different. We're all going through something that none of us has ever experienced before. So why not go with it and see what possibilities might open up for you, for us all? If you think about it, the High Holy Days have always been about homecoming for each of us and all of us. For the past 99 years at NSCI, we've welcomed you back to your spiritual home with us. This year, as you know, you'll welcome us into your most personal home with you. But either way, we pray, each of us and all of us might just return to the home of our souls, the best of ourselves, our community, our people.